cursus tuinieren. Ik ga toch vragen om nog even te blijven zitten. Et je vais vous demander d'accueillir chaleureusement le réalisateur, le régisseur en acteur van deze film, Alan Rickman. Thank you. And thank you very much for being here with us tonight. Now, of course, the first thing that catches the eye of the Belgian audience is Matthias Schoenaerts' haircut. What can you tell us about that? Is it real hair? Is it a wig? What can you tell us about that?
Do you really want to know? Maybe you should just believe it's real.
How did you get to cast Matthias Schoenaerts? What made you decide that he was right for this part?
He can act. Of course, it's, sometimes things happen for the right reason. I had just seen Rust and Burn, so he's magnificent actor. And then I thought, but does he have a sense of humor? So I couldn't tell. And then I met him here in Brussels, because I was here filming. And Matthias and his mother, Dominique, who I think is here tonight, came to the hotel I was staying in. And the first thing I saw as he came in the door was this man with a huge smile. So then I knew I could work with him, just because he was smiling. So I know he has a sense of humor and he's a magnificent actor. And then instinct tells you that he and Kate will be great together, and then when we saw them, me and the producers saw them together in a hotel in London, then we just knew it was.
And of course you had worked with Kate Winslet as well before in 1995 for Sense and Sensibility by Ang Lee. How important was that trust that you had with her, that friendship that you had with her for this picture?
I think, well, it's important for her, never mind me, because of course she's carrying this film. But of course you can't know, because it was 1995, as you say, so it's 20 years since we worked together, and she was 19 years old, and a lot has happened in that period for her and for me. But fortunately, she's the same and different in ways that, of course, you would expect, but the same in terms of her openness, and she's very prepared in the same way as Matthias. They're perfect marriage because both of them are very available and both of them very prepared. So in many ways, it's order and chaos. It's the same thing as the film. You have both of them very, very ready on every day that we were shooting, but also a laugh is seconds away all the time.
One more detail about Matthias Schoenaerts' performance. We can hear him sing at a certain point in the film. Is that his real singing voice, and was it hard to get that out of him?
Do you really I think you should just think that's Matthias singing, and why not?
That's perfectly fine with me. Now, you of course are in a way the emperor of this film, the ruler of this film, because you've co-wrote the script, you directed the film, and then you acted in it. Now, why did you decide to play the king yourself?
First of all, it's a lie to say that I co-wrote the script. That's just a legal thing where there are three names. It's really the work of Alison Deegan. and you know, she should be very proud to be able to claim that as her script. It is. Jeremy and I interfered with it, but there is no credit that you can put on a screen that says written by us and interfered with by Jeremy. But that would be the truth. We were there making structural suggestions and things to do with budget, because when I first read the script, I think the very first thing it said was, we travel down the banks of the Seine and hundreds of boats are being unloaded onto the banks, and you go to go, I'm not going to be able to afford that. So, and that would also be the reason why you find me playing Louis XIV, because we can afford that, because you don't have to pay that actor. So that's why.
You didn't start acting as an emperor as a director, I hope.
Well, you know what? We're all in it together on the film set, so everybody knows what their job is. And fortunately, the truth of the matter is that you're surrounded by experts. And Ellen Kuras, wonderful DP, and I traveled into the set together every day, so I was relying on her a huge amount. And Jack, first AD, everybody, you know, if you're going to do both jobs, and there's a lot of it about at the moment, you know, thank God I'm only in it a little bit, not a lot. I don't know how all these actors are directing, I don't know how they do it. It's not advisable.
Lessons to be learned. I was wondering also about the fact that we see Sabine and André working really hard to pull off this outdoor ballroom with fountains and all of that. But that means that you also had to construct it on set. How difficult was that for you?
Me personally?
I hope not.
Well, it's a budgetary thing. You know, you have to build this thing. That fountain exists, or a version of it, a somewhat bigger version of it exists at Versailles. When you see that last shot, that's exactly what it is at Versailles. There is an outdoor ballroom there. But the film is a fantasy in many ways. Of course, Lemaitre existed, but he would have been 70 at the time of telling the story. Sabine could not possibly have existed. And so, you know, it's weird for me now to talk about it, a film that you've just seen, but you have to see it through a kind of prism. It's sort of taking history and looking at it through a modern pair of eyes. And so hopefully, at its essence, it's a love story about that man and that woman working out how to have a relationship as equals at a time when it's a totally male-dominated society and women are merely decorative objects. And we're talking at a time when women at Cannes are told they have to wear high heels. You know, things don't change too much. The rest of it, things like the fountain, are the set dressing that means you can tell that story. That's the important story to me. So what we had to do was be clever with the budget that we had. So we worked backwards with the fountain. It was James Merrifield, the production designer, built it at the back of Pinewood. Fountains, tears, the whole thing, on scaffolding. And then we gradually destroyed it. So we kind of went backwards into a big pile of mud.
Now, how difficult is it to actually film something like landscape gardening? How to capture it in images?
Well, it would be if you were doing that, I suppose. You know, if you were going to, I mean, we only really do it in that last shot, which is, of course, the brilliance of computer graphics. Now, we couldn't do that. We can't show you how the gardens of Versailles were made. I wish we could, because there's a great story there. You know, the power of Louis XIV to say, I want to build this garden here. And he points at the craziest place on the planet to try and build a garden. It's a swampland. It's mosquito-ridden. The things won't grow there. You can't even get it to flat. terrible irrigation problems. So there is definitely a movie, if you could ever find a budget to make about that. We can't, so we were just talking about one bit of it.
I think we're going to ask the audience if they have any questions for you. You're here now. This is a very unique opportunity. I see there's a lady over there who has a question. Is there a microphone anywhere?
I can talk. Normally should be able to talk loud enough. I was wondering, in the beginning of the film, they ask a question. Do you like order or do you like natural landscaping? I just want to ask that question to you because I thought it was a special question.
Well, I get back to something that I was talking about this afternoon. If ever I'm talking to young actors at the drama school in London that I'm connected to, I always talk about, and this is not wisdom, this is experience and hindsight. I always talk about the fact that as an actor, and maybe as an artist, you have to, the moment of being creative is pitched somewhere right between discipline and freedom. And you can't have one without the other. And they're almost the same word, or they're on two sides of a coin. And I think the same is true of order and chaos. You know, again, you know, you can't have a Picasso redefining modern art without him being a very wonderful draftsman to begin with. So I guess you have to know the rules in order to break them properly.
Thank you. And I like you a lot.
Anyone else has a question for Mr. Rickman? Yes, young lady over there.
I was wondering, so this is your first directing project, is the second, right? I apologize. I wanted to know, probably you had a stack of scripts, and I wanted to know why you chose this one. Why was this, what touched you in the story, and why did you pick it?
In some ways, projects pick you rather than you pick them. I'm not sure that it's that objective. A script came through my letterbox, and you start to turn the pages, and then you start to see images, or you don't. And I started to see pictures, and then you just want to capture them. But what I really liked about it was the fact that it was, as I was saying earlier, to me the film is about a woman who says, "What about us?" and a man who says, "We will shape each other." And that is interesting and exciting as the basis of a relationship, and what makes a man and a woman potentially happier together if they can come to some kind of a deal with that question and that answer. So I like the fact that it was a very modern view of a relationship with all of this stuff around it. The stuff around it creates lots of problems, but it's there to give it a context. And so I thought, well, if we can pull that off, we should at least try.
Good questions, good answers. Some more? I see the gentleman.
Did you learn anything about gardening while?
Keep paying somebody else to do it.
Someone else in front of it, yeah.
Do you prefer acting or directing?
Ooh.
I guess, I don't know, it depends. You know, it's like an animal that you're stuck with and it comes up and bites you, and you find yourself doing one or the other. Because to answer a question from there, I directed another movie, but it was 17 years ago, and then along came Harry Potter, and that stopped me being able to direct on film, but I was directing in the theatre during that period, so I've always sort of been doing both. And I hope, like all smart actors who are keen on self-preservation, you offer ideas all the time. So in a way, you're hopefully part of the directing process anyway. It should be a marketplace of ideas. I only really started to direct when I learned that actually actors really respect you, or they relax if you say, I don't know, to a question. And then actors relax. And if you keep asking them questions, so you all arrive at something together. If you have an overview, you kind of know where you're going. So I don't know. At this point, I don't know. If I was in my 20s or something, I'd probably say, I act. But now, as time goes on, you start to look at the whole thing from a different angle.
Right, we have time for one final question. All the way in the back.
All the way in the back. A huge positive remark for the recognition of the power of women. And so my question is, whose invention was the character of Madame de Sabine, especially placed as a very strong figure in that time setting? It is really very sexy when men recognize the woman with all her power.
Well, I think it's a dumb man who just stands there expecting people to clean the floor. Whose invention? Completely Alison Deacon's. Yeah. She couldn't have existed, of course. It's impossible, and in many ways, that is quietly the point of the film. You hope that people, they don't have to know that, but you hope that at some point during the film they think about, why could she not have existed? And it goes back to what we were saying earlier about modern parallels. The battle's not over in terms of getting the best out of each other. And it's not like, and it's about individuals. You know, what's wonderful about Kate is all woman, but she's not afraid of playing masculine sides. What's wonderful about Matthias is totally male, but he's not afraid of his feminine side. And you don't have to put labels on that, you just have to celebrate the fact that it's happening.
Okay.